Hello everybody and welcome to the Moto3 Indian Grand Prix. Our first race at this fantastic layout is about to get underway. We weren't going to do this one live, but we've got the opportunity to do it live, so we're doing it live, which I think is the right way to go about this as well. Alongside me in the commentary box, if he wants to be his Omi, if you want to put your camera on Omi, you can more than welcome to join me in the box just hanging around unless you're doing something. But away they go on the parade lap for this 16-lap Moto3 race to head out there on the circuit. First of all, I think we're in for a very interesting battle as we'll catch up with TNT Sports to begin with.
This is the long lap loop, Michael. It's painted out there.
It is.
What will that mean?
It's sketchy. I think actually on a tarmac long lap loop, we know it's normally dirty, but when it is painted and it's not used a lot, it's not going to be as grippy as the racetrack, although I imagine they've used the FIM paint, which has a little bit of grit in it. It does provide some traction there. So looked like Dennis running around it there. Didn't look too slick, so fingers crossed Dennis can execute his long lap fast. I did some digging on why he felt aggrieved. He went to the medical centre. Unfortunately, Dr. Charte wasn't there. The Indian doctors told him to go ahead. He was fine, so he feels
okay, fair enough. Right.
Actually,
I didn't hear that part
held up
of the
his
story.
side of the equation.
Yeah.
So
my understanding was he hadn't been. So
well, he may have just popped his head in the door.
But he there?
I was there, but yeah, he feels quite hard done by the penalty. But he ignored the black flag because he was going to contest it afterwards. So that's probably what the penalty's for.
That's my point. As soon as you see the black flag, it doesn't matter. You have to obey it, even if it's in a crucial moment, as it was in qualifying. But that's a good bit of info from Michael. Unfortunately, penalties could derail his championship chances. He's only 17 behind Olgado, isn't he, Michael? And with Olgado, seemingly, as Neil was saying, a bit of an ankle problem. We know he's got arm pump issues. There he is, the championship leader. He's only got 4 over Sasaki, who starts third, 12 over Mazia, who starts on pole, and 17 over Onchu, who obviously starts from the back of the grid. David Alonso is actually only 1 place ahead of him on the grid. But it could be a key weekend for the championship here. Yeah,
definitely. The momentum's in David Alonso's favour. Onchu's speed he had yesterday, I think in Q1 he meant business, wanted to stamp his authority. 4 tenths faster than anyone's been all weekend and done it lap on lap. So he's going to come through the pack, and it could be one of those back of the grid to a 25-pointer today. If he does that, championship-wise, then he's got to be your favourite. So, yeah, it's all up in the air, all to play for. Holgado's on the back foot. Ayumu's consistent, as always. Jama Masia, great speed this weekend. So it is a tough one to pick out of those top 5 who you think's going to come out with top honours at the end of the season.
And we've still got to include Devon Ortola, but he starts down the order in 12th place and hasn't necessarily looked like he has the pace this weekend, but we have seen him turn it around on race days before, just like he did in Assen.
Yes, we have. All set then to go with our graphics all set up for Moto3, the full timing tower alongside us. Juan Masia on pole position, alongside him Matteo Belletti, and then Sasaki, Ogden, Toba, Monrella, Nepa, Frizzo, Vija, Salvador, the top 10. It's the first ever Grand Prix of India for Moto3. All eyes will be to the lights. Masia on pole position alongside his Bertoletti and Sasaki. All eyes, 5 lights ahead of us. Lights out, race on in India. It's a good start from Masia. It's a good start from the middle of the road. Bertoletti, Sasaki is going to get caught out here on the run down to turn 1. And coming up on the inside line is Sasaki. He'll take 2nd position. Coming through then, Scott Ogden moves up into 3rd position. Everyone makes it through turn 1 safely this time around, which is a lot better news than what we've managed beforehand. Into the braking zone now, in towards turn 3. Few of them thinking about a move on the inside line, just going for a little bit of a lunge, but not too bad. Okay, smooth start, now on the long run, down towards turn number 4, side by side as Oltola trying to pass Yamanaka into the braking zone. Little bit light on the brakes, and now we've got Sasaki right in the back of Masia, in towards the braking zone for turn number 4. 5, 6, maybe even 7 wide in some places they come through. Masia leads the way. There's Archie Bargy in the middle of the field. I'd love to tell you what's going on with, for some reason, the timing tower hasn't activated its starting procedure yet, so the race is underway, but the computers up here in the commentary box have frozen. So that's not always the best situation of viewers as they come through, but it happens every now and then. Sasaki right on the back of Masia. I understand there's a power failure in race control causing this, so they might not have any timings at all for a while. And if that's the case, then they'll have to display the red flags because it's unsafe to put themselves out there without any graphics. But as you can see, there's no timing tower, nothing confirming them that they've started this race. Up the inside of the 73, making move. There's the timing tower. And finally the race officially underway with lap 1 of 16. So they have got it started now as they fly back through. There's the 96 as well, Daniel Hologado, just taking a few places away as well. He knows exactly how much he needs to push and what he needs to do in this Grand Prix. And he'll just keep it together. So Masia leads, Sasaki, Monrella, Bertoletti, Toba, Frizzo, Nepa, Ogden. That's the situation as it stands as we head in towards turn number 1 on this opening lap. Omi's just been around watching it. What did you make of the start? It says 3 wide into turn 1, and that's nearly contact. It's Hologado, who's our championship leader. Then he gets wiped out as Salvador and Ogden go through. Ogden dropped down into 8th position. What did you make of that start then, Omi, watching on in the backgrounds?
Yeah, I was just actually sitting on my bed. I wasn't really watching, so but just heard you quickly talk. Oh,
is that who's gone down? It's Kelso. Joel Kelso has gone down to the inside of turn 4, and luckily he looks to be okay. But Kelso has crashed out, and there won't be a red flag for that. He's up and walking away. Otola passing Ogden. Vij and Hologado's down to 12th position now after that mess. Onchu's completed his long lap penalty, but Joel Kelso out of the race. Good start, calm start.
yeah.
Chaos, though.
Yeah. Could just hear you in the background, so I guess from radio commentary it seems like it was a good start.
Masia controlling the pace, though. Got the better getaway, exactly what he needed to do. Finding the right times as Munio passes up the inside of Ogden. Ruda and Ortega, Suzuki coming into. Joshua Whiteley in 21st. Felon, Asman, RG Carisso. Daniel Shaharin in 26th position coming through. That yellow flag's still out there as Felon moves up into 22nd place. So there's still time to be found as we loop back in. Yellow flag's been retrieved. And now we're seeing the battles going on further back as well. A little bit of a contact. That's the two teammates coming together as well on the inside line. So trying to pass through on the inside of who they are. I think that's the Gasgas. So that's going to be Alonso and Holly passing. Salvador's in there too. So 5 places back. So there's Monrella. So this is a battle between Frizzo and Colin Vija and Ortola just at the back of that. So yeah, it's the 72 of Frizzo battling with the 27 of Kaito Toba. So the Simbacelli 58 back and the Honda Team Asia's racing to get it to turn 1. Masia holding off Sasaki as they come through on the inside line. So a nice little start procedure between them all as they come through the first sector. Onchu now, after completing the long lap penalty, now down in 26th position. Second to last as Daniel Shahardin is down in last position. Kelso has officially retired from this race already as they continue on in this Grand Prix. It is, as I said, at the moment on lap 3 of 16, and Sasaki chasing down Masia in the first ever Grand Prix of India, live on Twitch, delayed on YouTube. As they come into it, we've just finished up the Formula 1 coverage from Japan and literally moved straight over here 9 minutes ago into this race. Just because we had an opportunity to do it live, it saves me doing it later on. So always may as well do it. With 14 laps to go already. Hologado P10. Let's check in with TNT Sports and see what they made of the start.
It comes back on itself.
A mistake from Furusato there. He's dropped back into the clutches of Colin Fire. So it was a jostle back and forth between he and fellow countrymen. But on this lap, Toba came out best. So I think Fire's got the pace to get across to Toba. So maybe if he gets through quickly, he can close this gap, and he has done.
Yeah, and bring people with him. As they're all pushing on now to try and stick with the trio that are battling for third. That's Bertelli, Moreira and Toba. And then there's the group chasing them down. This is David Alonso, of course. Hasn't actually looked as easy for him as it has over the last few rounds. A bobble for Masia. There looks to be a bump in that turn 12. I've heard a few people over the weekend say it's a tricky corner to master.
Yeah, I think because you're rising uphill on the brakes, it levels out and then drops off a little bit into the apex. It's not an easy one to get right. And these riders actually, although this is their third day on the racetrack, they'll be still figuring the place out. They did lose one session yesterday due to wet weather conditions.
Sasaki to the inside line, trying to look up Masia into turn 1, and it's not worked out. But what's happened to Matteo Bertoletti? And he's gone down! Oh, Matteo Bertoletti slips out from underneath him down in turn 1, and he is out of it. Bertoletti crashed out, rider okay, but not what you want to do, Omi, down at turn 1, is it? Bertoletti, unfortunately, losing a lot of pace.
Absolutely not what you want to do. Down at turn number 1. and going straight on for him. Disappointment.
Get well soon. Roman Fanati, who's not racing after being injured yesterday in qualifying. Send our best to Roman. As 13 laps to go, and a move on the inside from Diego Monrella, trying to get ahead of Kaito Toba for third position. Seems like we've got a breakaway going on at the moment between the top two. So Holgado passes Otola. So it's the front two having the battle and having the positions to move on here at this interesting Indian Grand Prix. It's our second race that we've covered, and as always, it's live on Twitch, and it will be live on Twitch for a while, the Moto3 and Moto2 series, while we wait for things to clear up with Dorna. We just don't want to lose anything, so we don't want to risk it for a while. And the Moto2 race, we've still got to do the San Marino Grand Prix anyway, so we had to wait for that, so it's going to be weird going back to do the previous race when they both go on YouTube later on next week. But at least Moto3 is live to some on Twitch. Diego Monrella, battle for fourth, Colin Vija. And there's Holgado on the inside line, making a move on Fabrizio for seventh position. Nice move on the inside. Here's the championship now. Sasaki 3 points clear of Masia, and they're the two hunting themselves down at the front. Daniel Holgado losing the championship lead, and he's in 8th place with only 8 points back off these two. But now 7 as he gets into 7th. So it's closing in again. Sasaki just 3 points ahead, but Masia's doing all he can by winning the race. It's if Sasaki goes down or anything like that, it's going to be difficult. But here goes Holgado on the inside, getting ahead of Vija and Alonso as well. So it's all changing in this opening 5 laps of the Indian Grand Prix.
See Jacob Ralston, which is great news, good to see.
Yeah, we heard rumours of Ralston potentially lined up there. I didn't think we'd see a move from Farioli, but he may well be off to the 658 team then, as the rumours did suggest.
Yeah, also we've had confirmation of Angel Piqueras, the rookies champion and soon to be junior GP champion, as Alonso goes back in front of Holgado at turn 4. He's going to line up with Adrian Fernandez at Leopard, so a complete switch for them next year. Fernandez coming back into the championship, which is a fair surprise. He did ride as a replacement, didn't he, earlier this year, and looked half decent.
Yeah, he went well in Assen. That was his calling card essentially, and Leopard have invited him back, so it does mean that Tatsuki Suzuki is either leaving the squad for pastures new or maybe not returning to the championship.
And his 26th birthday. Happy birthday, Tatsuki. You're
Happy
not going to
birthday.
ride next year. Yeah, it's not a great one, is it, for the Japanese rider at the front as Alonso goes through. Got a lovely way of getting through turn 9, didn't he? Got that much better than Moreira in front of him. But the front two have now opened up a 2.3 second gap over Kaito Toba. Oh, from Moreira. I think that was a bit of a mistake, actually, from Alonso. But Moreira got back through on the Colombian. The two South Americans doing battle here in Moto3.
Yeah, it was a clean move from Moreira because Alonso was a little bit deep, but yeah, he capitalised from a slight mistake as David Munoz joins the party. A little bit of a front end tuck in the middle of the final turn.
And whenever he's at the party, it's raucous, isn't it? It's more of a rave than a sedate classical music that's going on around when he's about.
Yellow flag, sector 4. Someone's down at sector 4. Oh, it's David Salvador. David Salvador down at in the last corner, turn 12 as well. Oh, that's just coming into turn 13. That's a hard one where he's gone down. So Salvador's crashed out of the race. Even more disappointed to come through then to try and find out pace later on in this Grand Prix. But Masia, Sasaki, 2.5 seconds, and Toba, Vija, 8/10, then it's Monrella and the rest of the field closing it in as things stand. A very entertaining race has been coming up side by side over that's Fabrizio and Alonso. So Alonso going back ahead. Asman's been given a track limits warning as well by the stewards. So just a little update for you there on that as the rest of the pack continue to pile in and battle in. Exactly. I shouldn't stand like that with my arms behind my back. I look like a World War II army veteran as well. But I'm wearing my Japanese shirt on the back. I didn't turn around in the F1, but it's Speedway. It's a Japanese shirt with some lovely Japanese writing on the collar here. Oh, Safaruddin Asman has crashed at turn 4, and that's after the long straightaway. So he's rejoined the race. He's picked it up, whatever he did, to come through. 11 laps to go. Sasaki still closing in on Masia. It's a short racetrack, this, in many respects. You can see the stats below and the track map. So it's a fast race. It's a good little opener. But Hologado versus Monrella for 6th position closing in between the two championship protagonists. They're holding it together. But, yeah, on the inside line, there goes Ortola getting ahead now of Monrella. Oops, and fighting back as well. That was a touch and go. And there's Masia holding off from Sasaki.
Sasaki 2.3 seconds ahead of Vaya, but Vaya much quicker than them on that last lap, 0.4 of a second quicker. So is there a chance for Vaya to close the gap? It's going to take Masia or Sasaki to be warned of that, isn't it, by their teams?
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work for Colin over the next few laps to get across there, but if he can chip off 0.4 a lap, he will make it there. So it's a long way to go with 10 laps remaining. But yeah, in this heat, you know whenever you give it 10 tenths to get across a gap, then you will be finished for those last few laps to fight.
And what about the championship that's shaping up? If you look at how things stand currently with these positions, Sasaki would be leading it. Masia 3 behind, Olgado 6 behind. But we know Olgado's arm pump issues. Oh, he's got to run deep there at turn 4. Just got himself on the low, but then Alonso goes wide onto the paint and somehow stays up and stays in front.
Stays in front, didn't lose that much drive, he never rolled out of it. You can see, dropped off the big high serrations right at the edge of the curb, did touch the green paint, that will go against him. But yeah, he didn't lose any drive whatsoever. He's comfortable with the thing sideways.
Further down the order, just looking at the point scoring positions, Scott Ogden's just been passed by Stefano Neppe. He's in a group all the way back to 18th with Yamanaka, and then Josh Watley's lapping with Dennis Onchu at the moment. So Onchu is in 20th, just got past Watley in fact.
Yeah, it's not going to take too long this race either. The race distance, of course, reduced from the 18 laps to 16 to help the riders in this heat. So everything's been taken off a couple. That's why later on it's a 21-lap MotoGP race instead. Going forward. 9 laps to go then. More than coming in. 8 to 16. Halfway. And Masia leads, Sasaki second.
Where's Masia and Sasaki? Where are their strengths on this lap? Because it feels like after the straight, Masia does have a comfortable margin, and then Sasaki claws it back over the second half of the racetrack.
Yeah, which has been quite typical this year whenever we watch Jama. More corner speed, a little bit more through the middle of the turn, but actually stopping and going, I think, is a Yumu's strength on the brakes. So yeah, a little bit of seesawing back and forth.
There you can see Onchu just in front of Watley on track in 19th, but it's going to be hard work, isn't it? In this heat too, Michael, they've also got a lap less than they were planned to have, so it's a shorter race than we were supposed to have here. It was supposed to be 17 laps and 84 kilometres or 52 miles, but it's actually 80 kilometres and 49 miles.
Yeah, they did reduce it in terms of the physicality for the riders rather than tyre consumption. Dunlop had no worries whatsoever in Moto3 or Moto2 of going the distance, but the reduced distance is definitely welcomed by the riders. They will be feeling it out there. It's just the heat, the sweat dripping into your eyes. You can push through it, but it's so tough. It just makes it all the air that's coming into your helmet is hot. Some of the riders you can see with the straw out of the back hump in the suit, and it does give you a little bit of water, but that gets hot as tea throughout the race. So yeah, you do not get much respite.
We were chatting to Sylvain Guintoli, weren't we, last night at dinner, and obviously he was ill during the Bol d'Or the last few hours, and we were talking about the camelback system, where so you have a water bottle in your hump, effectively a water bag. You have to be really careful with it, don't you, with the straw, and make sure that everything's clean. He's worried that he might have poisoned himself with...
It does sound like it.
Just not necessarily being... leaving standing water in there.
Yeah, you can't. Obviously, Sylvain did clean it, but sometimes water and bacteria can build up in the connectors after flying home in the flight cases from Suzuka. Maybe Sylvain's caught something, but yeah, you have to be really, really mindful of these systems if they only use them a few times a year.
Oh no. Diogo Moreira's got a long lap penalty, Michael, exceeding track limit. He'd already had the warning, but unfortunately he's going to have to do that penalty now. Moreira, it was looking like a positive start, positive race for him. Things have dropped off. Hasn't had a top 5 since the first 3 races of the year. Hasn't had a podium since the second round in Argentina. He is off to Moto2 next year, but unfortunately Moreira will have to go through the loop, and that will lose contact with that front group, and he'll be dropped back into that group with Stefano Nepper and Scott Ogden.
Yeah, obviously not where Moreira wanted to be. Early laps he looked really strong, able to fight on the brakes, but just missing a little bit of pace, so he is going to, I think, get caught by Nepper, Ogden, Rueda, Artigas. They're not too far away as well, even Suzuki, so yeah, he's going to be in a fight for the remaining point scoring positions.
Moreira's completed his long lap penalty across the board now as well. Just every bit of drama you can imagine being thrown his way. Not really that fair, but it's a good race so far. 8 to go.
He did his long lap and he's straight into the clutches of Scott. But yeah, it has been the case where the KTM field, their bike in the heat hasn't been pulling up top as well as it would normally do in Europe or in cooler climates. So it does seem like the KTM still has a slight advantage on punch, though. Off the turns, they still remain with a little bit more torque than the Honda. But looking at Masia, he's got... Leopard somehow managed to eke a little bit more performance than the rest of the Honda teams, but he's got a good chassis under him. He's confident on the bike. He can drift it up into the turns here on the rear brake.
Look at Sasaki closing in on Masia.
In some ways, which I'm interested to see how he performs next season on the stop-and-go Moto2 Calyx. It's a position he's been looking to get into for the last few seasons, and finally going to find his route there. And will he do that as champion? So these two going to battle all the way to Valencia.
And Masia is closing in as well. He's got the race lead, but Sasaki right behind him, trying to look on the inside line down towards turn number 1. Not going to work out. 7 laps to go. So this race going by quite quickly, and they're just trying to find the right time between them.
It just felt like Sasaki was closing in certain parts of the racetrack. And then here, all deep.
Masia wide.
I wonder if there's going to be a point where Masia thinks, right, I'm going to have to let Sasaki lead here, because he's led right from the off.
He's the one, he's doing the hard work because he's the one setting the marker every time you hit a braking zone. He's providing the draft down the back straight. Ayumu actually pulling out of the draft there because he doesn't need it. He has no intention of passing at this stage. When he sees his pit board, he's got a 2.5 second gap back to the next guy, and he can let Jama go to work. So Ayumu's foxing it here a little bit, playing it clever, and letting Ayumu sweat it out.
He's thinking of Sachsenring, where it happened to him, isn't he? Where Dennis Onshu trailed him for the entire race and pounced at the end.
Farizzo's crashed.
Out, maybe at the end of the back straight.
Yeah.
Just seen his name tumbling down the order. So that's a shame for the Japanese rider heading home next week, because we've started to see something from Furusato this weekend with the Hondas performing. I've been told actually in Japan at the moment, temperatures are not like this, but warmer and hotter than we used to seeing. You know, we go to Suzuka, don't we, in end of July, beginning of August, and it's absolutely roasting. By the time we usually get there in October, you can have warm days, but it can also have very wet, muggy, humid days. Actually, you can get quite cold as well.
Get it quite cold in Motegi. I remember always bringing a jacket when you go out there. It is normally the cooler round of the flyaway events.
Hard on the brakes, and
took
2 of them there.
Alonso, and
Riccardo Rossi.
Does well to pull it up. I thought he might go a little bit deep and look at the look back from Alonso, checking out his competition, seeing who's in the group and who he needs to duel with over these last 6 laps.
So this is the battle for 5th place, and what I will say is, I'm just having a look at Dennis Onshu and the pace that he's showing. Onshu is 3.6 behind this group. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it. Even more, 6. His pace just hasn't been there. I will say Onshu's pace only came on Saturday morning. He started to show a little bit.
Q1 he was phenomenal, but he's not been able to reel off the 59s as the leaders are pretty much throughout the race. They've remained in the 59 second bracket, and Onshu's not had it today. So yeah, he despite having to start from the back of the grid, I think he'd have struggled to match these two.
There's been a mistake here for Ayumu Sasaki, because on that last lap dropped his pace by a couple of tenths, and on this one seems to be dropping a bit to Jaume Masia, and it looks like him dropping because Valla's pace was 3 tenths quicker than him on that last lap. So I'm wondering if they're just starting to suffer a bit now.
Yeah, further 2 tenths in sector 1 is unusual for Ayumu. May have been wide at turn 3 or turn 1 perhaps, but yeah, Jamas will see the gap on his pit board if he gets round to the flag and maintains this gap, and then know that he can actually make a run for it. So he is stretching it out.
Another tenth there. 0.7 of a second. This could be.
Oh, hello. Masia's pushing now,
Masia, as regards his championship has only won the one race this year back at Assen. Been close on a number of occasions, had 3 second places, including the last 2 races, of course. But this is the sort of ride, you know, that brings you right back into the championship. If he goes on to win from here, he might have, Sasaki close to the edge of the racetrack there, obviously doing everything he can to get back on to Mazia. But Mazia might have broken Sasaki's spirit.
Yeah, and if Ayumu does lose touch, he actually has Colin Meyer, his teammate, not too far away. So if he loses a little bit of draft, maybe doesn't quite have the set. Yeah. He's 8/10, he's back off the Yama now.
Not just Colin Meyer, you know. Kaito Toba's just done a personal best lap.
Oh, yellow flag, and is that Scott Ogden? Oh, don't tell me it is. Ogden's dropping down the timing. Joshua Whiteley's teammate's gone ahead of him. Suzuki down there too. And I think Ogden and Suzuki have gone down together. Yeah, they have. So Ogden and Suzuki have crashed out. Riders okay, we're being told. But Suzuki and Ogden crashed out of this race in the Moto3. Well, Omi, it's been a good race so far. And Masia now starting to pull out the gap in the closing stages. But it's not a typical Moto3 that we're used to, with it all being crash, bang, wallop, is it? I think he might be moving away. There's Suzuki. Let's take a look how he did it then. So who's going to go down first? Oh! That's a horrible one. Ogden having a high side and getting run over by Suzuki. That's a horrible one. Ogden and Suzuki lucky to walk away with that okay. He's put out the yellow flags, and that's not good.
From the game.
Yeah, luckily not too badly hurt. It seems up on his feet again, but yeah, Suzuki nowhere to go and did clip Scott. So, yeah, unfortunate end to his race today.
Furusato's now retired. He did crash out, rejoined, and unfortunately for Honda Team Asia, Hiroshi Oyama, Tony Carver on their team co-ord. That's the end of the weekend for the Japanese rider, and it was at the end of the straight.
Oh.
Just trying his level best, but it's attritional this race now, Michael. Lots of people starting to fade or fall by the wayside. Just look at Sasaki. He's going to go into the clutches here of his teammate, Colin Meyer, who I will remind you is looking for his first podium in Grand Prix.
On this lap, he's lost 7/10 on Jama, so he's actually really starting to struggle here, whether it's tyres, maybe even physical. He could be struggling with the heat, and normally the Japanese riders deal well with the humid conditions and the temperatures, but yeah, he may struggle to remain on the podium here. He's got a hungry Kaito Toba wanting to establish his name for a place in the grid next year. We do hear Ayumu will move to Moto2. Colin Fire, as a rookie, he wants to steal the spot away from his teammate. He won't be thinking of Ayumu's championship right now.
No, he won't be at all. And yeah, for Sasaki, it sounds like a couple of options, doesn't it, to him? Dynavolt obviously staying with that team, the Husqvarna squad. Or we heard about a possible move to Yamaha next year. Both of those in the offing for him. But it looks like he's definitely going to go, whatever happens. I wonder which way it'll go as Colin Vaya there starts to close in. His teammate, of course, Vaya wanting to put his mark on the championship finally. He's promised so much. Had that pole position earlier on in the year when we were in Austria. Just finished off the podium there. Was 5th in San Marino. And we could be about to see him on the box for the first time. Is it bike tyre, or do you think, or physical for Sasaki here? Because his pace on that last lap a second slower than Mazia, Vaya and Toba.
Yeah, it does seem strange for Ayumu just to drop a second at this point in the race with 3.5 laps remaining, but it could be physical. He could be struggling with something, maybe a few little moments and just settling for points. But
you mentioned cramp for your riders earlier this weekend. It's easy at this stage of the race.
Definitely hotter climate than anyone anticipated. Everyone knew it was going to be hot, but even when it's 32 in the air, it feels like 40 degrees, and that's what the forecasters are saying. The feels like temperature is up in the 40 range, so yeah, the riders really struggling when you've got leathers, helmets, boots, gloves, and a hot motorcycle underneath you, so not easy to keep cool.
He just hasn't get rattled here when Vaya goes past him, and it looks like Toba will too. It's really hard work out there. I can't describe how hot the conditions are here. He'll be, how many kilos do you reckon? Ayumu Sasaki hasn't got many to go with anyway. No. He'll be losing a couple, won't he, during this race?
Yeah, 1.5 to 2 kilos, I would have said, in sweat. So yeah, they do struggle with dehydration at the end. I've seen some riders struggle more than others, but riders can you can actually get delirious. Whenever you lose enough water, you can't focus, you can't do what you need to do on the bike.
There's a couple of times there in that turn 3, he's almost not able to finish off the turns. I don't know, I wonder if maybe also a tyre issue, but his teammate...
Well, the big thing here is, of course, if Sasaki drops away from 2nd or 3rd position, Vija takes over and Toba, then that gives Masia the championship lead. There's only 3 points between Sasaki and Masia right now, and Masia can't do anything else, so I don't think Vija's going to overtake his teammate on the Husqvarna, but Kaito Toba on the Marco Simoncelli, the 658 Squadra Corsa, could easily get through, and he's taken Vija. So that is going to be interesting as Colin tries to get back through on the outside. Toba says, no, 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 I'll go back through on the inside, and now he's going to set off after Sasaki. So there's a real duo battle going on now that everyone's going to try and hold together. Vija trying to take the inside line, hasn't worked out. And Toba back now in the slipstream. Masia's put out 3.6 seconds. It's going to be his 2nd win of the season for Juan Masia. And hopefully, depending on how this goes, could be a championship lead. Toba looks to the inside. Door gets shut off. Just holds it together. Sasaki 177 points at the moment. He's P2 in this race. Masia P1 only on 174 points. So 3 points between them. 2 laps to go. Another couple of miles of this circuit. Across the line once more. Vija just waiting, trying to go around the outside of Toba in towards turn 1. Not really the opportunity that they're thinking of, so it backs out, unfortunately. No room to overtake there, no room to get through. That 15 of 16. So race is reduced. Vija gets a great exit out of turn 3. Now down the long back straight, 0.7 of a mile. It's a very long battle. And is Toba going to make a move in towards turn 4? He's thinking about it on the inside line. He wants to have a go. Holding it backwards and forwards. He's going for it now in the braking zone. And Kaito Toba takes 2nd position. Sasaki's going to try and hold on the outside. Vija's going to not try and take off his teammate. And now Masia leads the title by 1 point to Sasaki. But Sasaki's fought back. Sasaki's fought back ahead of Kaito Toba. And Toba's been given a track limits warning by the stewards. So now, Sasaki back in 2nd position. The title reverts back to Sasaki being 3 points ahead. And Toba back through the inside line. Vija goes a little bit wide. They've got to be. This is like the end of the race last weekend in San Marino, or 2 weeks ago in San Marino. But they've got to hold the nerve, find the distance between them, and trust in the process that we're going to see an excellent end to this race. 2 to go, though.
He's still leading the way as Toba has a look at turn 12. 1 more corner to go, and there'll be 1 lap remaining in the Indian Grand Prix in Moto3, and Ayumi Sasaki knows that he's in a fight. If he finishes 2nd, he will lead the championship. If he loses that 2nd place to either Toba or Vaya, then this man, Jaume Masia, will be leading, heading to his home round in Japan.
Jaume Masia's pace still 2-minute flat. First time he's dropped back into the 2 minutes in recent laps. 5.1 second gap over the rest, so he's really stamped his authority on Moto3 this weekend.
Last lap to call then in this incredible battle. Look at Vija trying to go to the inside of Toba, trying to help out his teammate in the championship whatever way he can. Right now, Hologado as well. Oh, Sasaki goes way wide out of turn 3. Toba's going to have the slipstream on him down towards the braking zone. This should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Into turn 4, a nice slip through on the inside line to make the move stick. Shouldn't be too bad, and he's going for it. Toba on the inside, late to the brakes. Sasaki tries to cut back immediately into 4, goes a bit too deep. Toba's going to get back on the exit power. Vija's there too, they go side by side. They bang elbows once, they bang elbows twice. Vija almost hits his teammate, has to go around the outside, and Vija's going to get ahead of Toba, and he's going to settle in right behind Sasaki. Toba goes through the inside of the pair of them at turn 5. Oh, beautiful! Sasaki holding between them. Down into 6 and 7. Toba trying to find a way through. Not working out. Sasaki back up. And Vija to the inside of Toba at turn 9. Through 10. And Vija goes through. Toba loses out. So Vija's going to help his teammate here. I don't think he'll challenge Sasaki. I'm correcting myself. He's gone. Vija's past Sasaki. That's not the team game. And now, Masia is the championship leader. And Vija back through on the inside line. Oh, they touch! They touched! Vija's crashed out! And Toba's gone through! The two Husqvarnas come together! Toba's going to go through. One Masia wins the Indian Grand Prix in superb style. Looks back, knows that in second is Kaito Toba with Sasaki third, which means Masia takes the championship lead. And Hologado finishing in fourth means that they are level on points. They go level on points. Hologado 174 points, Masia 174 points, Sasaki 173 points. The championship that was Hologado's by over 50 has been reduced here in India to 0 and 1. 1 point separates the top 3 with the top 2 level on points. Omi, if you're watching, what's happened there with the Husqvarnas? Insane.
Yeah, Yumi dives for the apex, but then drifts wide, so he's not.
Sasaki was good. Yeah, Omi, that was ridiculous. There should have been orders. There should have been orders, and Vija's down, and it's costing the championship lead. Look at him. Colin's unbelievable.
Yeah, I just caught the end of that when I was coming back in, but yeah, chaotic.
Unbelievable. Well, my thanks to you, Omi, for joining me for Moto3. That's it done. Masia, Toba, Sasaki, 1, 2, 3 in the first ever Moto3 Indian Grand Prix. We'll be back in around about half an hour's time to cover the Moto2 race here from India. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.